So I think enough with the chit chat. I think that now is a good time to actually start answering some questions. So, like I mentioned, I sent out a call for. Oh, hey V Dubs, how's it going? PDT asked the question: Is she in the room? Um, it's a good question. Is she in the room? Well, I think that gesture says everything, really. So let's go on to some questions. And I think that was a good first question. Miss V Dubs, welcome. Thank you for joining us in this stream of questions. As I mentioned, I've been asking people to ask me questions on curiouscat.me, as well as just generally asking them on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to start answering them. I'm not going to do it from bottom to top. I'm just going to pick a random selection of questions, and I'm hoping to be finished by about 9, maybe 9:15, and then I'll start the stream with Catherine. So, first question. Anon asked on the 27th of January. Oh, they've changed it. They've changed it so they've actually say what the date was. Well, Tom Mayhew asking my girlfriend round to watch me stream is not a date. You're right, it's not a date, it's a way of life. So, first question. Anon asks on the 27th of January, are you very political? Would you become an MP? That's an interesting question. I think the answer is it ebbs and flows. Sometimes I am political. Sometimes I just get bored. A lot of the time I just feel powerless. So I don't really get involved, especially with the idea of Brexit. As for me being an MP, no, I don't think I could be an MP because I've got lots of problems and skeletons in the closet which they get exposed. Wouldn't allow me to be a politician. Although I have thought about it. I have thought that genuinely we need a centre party. Labour's too far to the left. Conservatives too far to the right. Something in the centre. Surely that would work. Which leads on to another question from PDT in the chat. Where is it? Oh, where is it? Are you worried about Brexit? No, I'm not worried about Brexit because... What's the best way to describe it? You know how it is when things are so shit, when things are so fucked up and you just get so worked up and to the point where you just like snap and you just turn into like a placid, lucid state where you just don't care anymore. That's kind of how I feel about Brexit. Catherine is not two-player. It's not two-player, but my girlfriend does watch me play the game. And it's kind of interesting because... The most two-player aspect of the game is all those questions in the confessional, and you have to pick one or the other, and she judges me. So far, so good, I like to think. That. So, Anon asks, 27th on January, do you ever miss having hair, or is it all really a lot of faff? Let's see. Hair. Sometimes I do. Especially when I had bleach blonde hair. I used to have bleach blonde hair, which I could post on like in a catch up on this video. I used to have bleach blonde hair because I bleached it for my dad's second wedding. And I wanted to look different, and I looked really good. And that was at a time when I was really thin, so I looked like a beach boy, a beach dude. I was really handsome. But now... not so much. I don't mind the fact that I have to shave my head once or twice a week, and I save about £10 a month. So, you know. And plus, ultimately, I think I look better without hair. Am I sounding okay? In terms of the audio, I think I sound okay. Let me know if I'm too loud or too quiet. What skeletons would you stop you from being a politician? Well, there was that one time I killed a guy. No, I'm joking. I don't know, personally, because a lot of things I don't consider like skeletons, but I don't know. It's like the idea of I'd have to pick the right party, which was completely okay with things like same-sex marriage and whatnot. And the reason I say that is like, what was that guy's name? Tim Fallon? I think it was a politician who was the leader of the Liberal Democrats, He was kind of assigned, but he was constantly being badgered about, well, you're a Christian, right? So what do you think about gay marriages? And he just kept poorly dodging the questions. So, what was my point? I had a point and I've forgotten. No, I don't think I'd be a good politician. Tim Farron, that's it, the big old homophobe. Thank you, Tom. And PDT says, we know about a lot about me, but we don't know about Mrs. Grax. That's an interesting point. I invited her to be on the stream sometime, but when she's ready, if she's ever ready, then you might get to see her. Worst comes to worst, you just come around my house and I'll say, here she is. Hello, introductions, all that kind of stuff. I'm just rambling now. Okay, so Anon asks, 17th of Feb, why doesn't anyone name their pets Algernon anymore? Because I've never heard the name Algernon. That's an odd question. I keep wanting to say Alucard, but that's completely different. So I don't know, because I've never heard their name before. Anon asks on the 17th of Feb, can you burp your name? That's a good question. Let me just try that for a second. I'll just get some water. I like to think I can, but I'm under pressure and I need a lot more preparation. If I had some fizzy drinks, that would be a bit. Oh, actually, that reminds me. When Andy, Michael, and I were doing our RG podcast, RG Corobardin Extravaganza, Emporium Extravaganza, I can't remember that show. When we did our Camden live show, there was a sketch that we did, and it was the Batcrack sketch where we were talking about, it's me dressed up as a cheap Batman and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things was, what can you do that's impressive? And me being the comedic genius I am, I decided to burp the alphabet in front of everybody, and people were disgusted by this thing, and that's fine. That completely got buried, and we moved on with the sketch show. But at the end of it, Andy was pissed off. He's like, don't ever do that again. Which is interesting, because there's always another case of, I do things which are kind of like throwaway ideas, but it seems to get a really big reaction out of people. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's rude, it's not very pleasant, but I didn't think it would be offensive to burp. Next question. So that leads up to an interesting question to the chat. What's your party trick? What's the one party trick that you do that impresses people or disgusts people or does something to get a reaction out of people? Anon asks, 17th of Feb, what's up with all these women shaving off their minges? It collects all the dew and smells so nice. Pfft, women. I don't know. I think the simple answer is some way ladies feel like they can shave their minge and feel sexy. Some don't. It's really down to personal choice. And it's kind of interesting because I was listening to the Good Sex Bad Sex podcast 2 weeks ago, and they had a wax salon lady talking about her waxing salon in Brighton. I forget the name, but there was lots of interesting stories, including waxing. And the thing is, I always thought the Brazilian was completely hairless, but that's wrong. That's just you get a strip of hair. It's the Hollywood I'm thinking of. Fun fact. So let's see. On to the chat. I didn't think this question, but Algernon. My ex gave me a dialect called Algernon many years ago. Really? So PDT. What was the dialect? Did it have a label underneath it? Or was it on one of those bases that had the name underneath? Because I've never heard that name before. That shows how limited knowledge I have related to Doctor Who. Also in the chat, I'm not dodging the question of skeletons in my closet. I think I've said everything that I needed to say about that subject. So back to the question of shaving off the minges. I think it's fine. Hairless, hairy, it's all beautiful to me. And I'll still happily give the vagina the attention it needs and deserves. Let's go higher up. Let's try this question. I just found, Anon asked 2 days ago, I just found out I'm attracted to girls with Catholic guilt. Are you attracted to any weird things? Weird things. What's the weirdest thing I'm attracted to? I don't know. I think the things that I'm attracted to aren't really weird. I'm attracted to ladies who dress up very smart and suitish. I'm attracted to girls who have short hair. I'm attracted to I'm more attracted to ladies who have certain masculine characteristics rather than girly characteristics, and as sexist as that sounds. But weird stuff, what am I really attracted to? I'm sure there's something I'm really attracted to that's weird. I don't know, actually. I'd have to really think about that, and it's one of those questions. it's one of those questions that will be running in the back of my mind, and I go, right, that's it. It's farts, for example. It's not actually true. It's not farting girls. Although the thing is, I do find that reassuring, because at least girls that fart and burp in my presence, they prove that they're human and real. I don't know. I have to go back to that one. How much are you having to censor yourself because your girlfriend's in the room? Not very much. I don't think I'm censoring myself very much at all, and that's one of the nice things about this relationship. It's like completely free and honest. I mean, she's just as honest to me as I am to her, which is great. Let's go back in time, shall we? Let's try. Anon asks, on the 17th of Feb, would you ever put a Mikado stick at the end of your willy to tempt a hungry lady? So yeah, for those who don't know, a Mikado is a biscuit stick with a bit of chocolate at the end, about that long. And they're very nice, they're very tasty. No, I wouldn't, because I don't like the thought of things stuffed down my Jap's eye, my penis end. I just don't like the thought of it at all. So no, I would never do that. And Kerbo ____, hello, welcome to my stream. Welcome to me talking and answering a whole bunch of questions of people who've asked me on curiouscat.me/Graxbishop. And if you've got a question you'd like me to answer at some point, ask away. Does your girlfriend burp and fart in your presence? Not burp. Oh, something's occurred, and I'm just going to have to wait for it to pop up. Kerber ____ is now following me. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I hope I can entertain you as much as possible. So yeah, she doesn't burp in my presence. I don't think she's burped in my presence. Okay. Moving on. This is a good rhythm. This is a good flow. I've answered that. Okay, this is interesting. Let's go forward a little bit, because I thought I answered a bunch of those questions. So here we go. An unasked 23 hours ago, will you be going to Edinburgh Fringe in 2019? The plan is yes. Right now, but I'm not performing. I just want to go up as like a tourist. I want to go up and watch the shows, but I also want to go up and help Andy. Andy's in the process of working with Andy and John are working in the I can't speak English. I've only had 2 glasses of port. Not 2 pots. 1 glass. Is that how it is? 1. Yeah. Okay. I had some pause. What was I saying? Yes, Dredgeland are in the process of getting an application up in Edinburgh. They've sent in an application, they're waiting for replies, and if they are due to perform up there, then yes, I will be going up to help them out, like with flyering, being an extra pair of hands. And I would like to go up to Edinburgh Fringe this year just to relax. I don't want to go up there and perform. But I'm happy to help. So the plan is yes, but watch this space. So Raymond Bishop is not doing a full run this year. No, Raymond Bishop is kind of on hiatus until further notice. It was a nice one-off experience, but I don't see him coming back anytime soon. If somebody else wants to take on the mantle as Raymond Bishop, though, and maybe do a better job than me, then sure. And no, PDT, she does not burp in my anus. Sorry, where am I? Before, what's it? It's making it harder when you pick it up. Okay, so Anonymous says on the 17th of Feb, you better entertain the fuck out of me! No pressure there. Anonymous 17th of Feb, have you ever considered getting a catchphrase? If yes, what would it be? That's a good question. I haven't considered getting a catchphrase. I do say things on a frequent basis, repeatedly, until they stop being fun. Like, for example, like I say, the most important thing is, that's something I often say because it's stupid, and I always like to say the most important thing is, and then say something irrelevant. But I haven't been doing that very much recently. But yeah, in terms of a catchphrase, if I know what I want for my birthday or Christmas present. I want one of those machines that push a button and makes canned laughter noise or like sound effects. That would be amazing. If someone can get me that for my Christmas or my birthday, that'd be amazing. So, yeah, I don't have a catchphrase, but I would consider it. And on our 17th of Feb, are you really a bishop? No, I am not. It's just my surname, which I picked up because on the game Second Life, it was a surname you get to choose. And on our 17th of Feb, have you ever killed an animal? No, I haven't, but I have come close. And the quick story about this is, how old am I? Hang on. About 12, 13 years ago. Sorry, I'll tell the story in a second, but PDT just says, can you adopt? Oh, burp in my anus! Hang on, is that how you say anus? Anus! Is that how you say it, Pete? Burp in my anus! That's my catchphrase. I don't think that's going to catch on very well. I mean, I'll try it out a couple of times for you, and I'll report back to you. I almost killed an animal once. About 12 years ago, let's round it up. That's about 15 years ago. About 15 years ago, I was dating this girl. When I say dating, I was seeing this girl. And one of the things about her is she lived with her parents, but she lived in a garden. She was living in the garage. 4-bedroom and everything, and she had lots of different animals, ranging caged animals, tanked animals, from lizards to snakes to even pet crabs. But that's not the most interesting point about this story. Is the tree frog. One day she had a power cut, and all the caged animals, they lost power, and a lot of these creatures, they require a lot of heat. And unfortunately, with the power out, a lot of the animals, though, some of them died. But one of them was this tree frog, and it was very, very ill. And she said, hey, Grax, my tree frog is suffering. My tree frog is suffering, but I need to put it out of his misery. I don't want to do it. Do you want to put it out of his misery? I'm like, what? I need you to kill my tree frog to put it out of his misery. I'm getting to work. Yeah, I'll let you sort that out. And I'm like, okay, I guess I could try and kill this tree frog. And it was like real sad and pathetic and all that kind of stuff. I was like, ah. And it's like, okay, what do? Do I just like snap its neck? Do I just hit it with a shoe? What do I do? And it's like, okay, I can't do it. I can't kill this tree frog. So I put it back in its cage, and it was very cold and feeling sorry for itself. I put it back in its cage, and I went home. And this is at a time where she lived in Southampton and I lived in Portsmouth. So I drove home, and I left it there. So I didn't have the courage to kill an animal. So No, I haven't killed an animal. I think it ultimately died because of, I don't know, lack of love, or the fact that some guy almost tried to kill it. I don't know. I didn't kill it in the end. Anon asks, 17 days ago, what's your pin? 0000. Oh wait, no, that's not my pin. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, that's not my pin. I'm not going to tell you my pin number. Let's see. Anon asks, 17th of Feb, would you ever release an album? Maybe Grax the Musical? I've answered this before. I'm planning to release a Christmas album one day. Watch the space. I'm not burping in her anus or the tree frog's anus. I don't burp in people's anuses. Stop suggesting I burp in people's anuses, because I'm going to be stupid enough to do it one day. Let's see. Anon asks, on the 17th of Feb, would you go out with a girl with false teeth? Like the whole set, that she wouldn't glue in properly, so they flapped when she talked. What? Christmas. Thank you, Emma, for buying a Christmas album. I'll keep that in mind. But yeah, dating a girl with dentures. It depends on how good looking she was, or how great her personality was, or how good she was in bed. I mean, like, yeah, that's very, very interesting. Lonely God 182 is following me. Thank you so much for following me. I really appreciate that. I've seen you around, and it's very, very nice for you to follow me. But would I date a girl with false teeth? Yeah, probably. If nothing else, I could just say I dated a girl with false teeth once. Let me tell you some stories. But I can't do that yet. It's funny because you don't really see that anymore. You don't really see people with false dentures to the point where they had to take them out and put them in the waters like they used to do in the old cartoons. I think it's probably because nowadays people just screw in their teeth. Yeah, one of those was screwing those teeth, and that they don't bother with actually gluing them in. Shame, really. Let's see. Let's stop here. Anon asks, 17th of Feb. Comedy is a bit, meh, isn't it? Fucking comedy. Lol, etc. Hrumph. Bollocks to it. That's not really a question. I mean, comedy is good in the right time. Tommy says, in Rugrats video game, at one point, Grandpa takes his teeth out and spikes. The dog steals them and runs away, smiling like a human. Then a goose picks them up and puts them in a run. I remember that. And the reason why they did that in the game is because I'm sure in the Rugrats cartoon, that actually happened. I'm pretty sure Grandpa actually lost his teeth in that episode. I can't think what exactly what it was. Yeah. I'll have to see if I can fish that game out. I distinctly remember that the Rugrats video game had a game-breaking bug where if you reached a certain point, you couldn't actually progress any further, and you had to restart the game. It was like one of those early days where back in the day where games were on cartridges or CDs, and you couldn't patch it, and you were fucked. Yeah, I'll see if I have to hunt that game down. Anon asks, the 17th of Feb, Birmingham. What's up with that then? Anon asks, the 17th of Feb, your mum, can I have a go? No. You leave my mum out of this. She's a saint. Oh, God, I wish people would stop going on about my mum. Look, she's technically hot. Yes, I would admit that. She's 62 years old and she's still got a body of a 40-year-old, I think. I don't know, maybe. But leave my mum out of this. She's a saint. Oops. Oops-a-doodle. Oh no. Oh God, it's gone horribly wrong. Panic. Panic over. Sorry about that. I pushed the wrong button, and now I'm back. I'm back on screen. I'm back on stream. Look, we got the inbox here. In fact, let's answer this question. It was here 5 minutes ago. Would you visit a sex worker? Have you? Thanks, Anon. I guess it depends by what do you mean by visit a sex worker. I mean, would you mean like visit a worker in their workplace? I mean, I guess so. They seem pretty nice. Yes, I guess I would visit a sex worker if they were my friend or they invited me around. And have I visited a sex worker? I don't believe I have. Anon asks 30 minutes ago, fuck a bear? I would not fuck an animal bear. I would not fuck a human bear. Really, I'm not really into that kind of thing. Yes. Anon asks 2 hours ago, sorry. Anon asks, how often do you wank over girls you have had sex with? That's an interesting question. Well, when I was single, not very often. I maybe, let's say once in a blue moon, because sometimes you would just think back to like 1 or 2 instances you had with them, and you would just replay that image in your mind and maybe change it a little bit so that it was better than it was. And I guess once in a full blue moon, once in a while when I was single. I mean, obviously now that I've got a girlfriend, I don't have any reason to do that. But I guess a follow-up question is, how many of them do I think about? And I guess if I've had sex with that many people, if you divide it by that number, you would get a quarter. Oh, okay. Let's see. Okay, so PDT follows up with that same question. Does the question mean literally wank over them or wank while thinking about them? I think the question... That's actually a good question. I didn't think about that. I think about them. Let's go with the second one. Yes, I have think about them once in a full blue moon when I was single, and it's about a quarter of them. No, I don't literally go over to my exes or people I've seen and wank over them whilst they're asleep. Partly because I don't know where they live anymore. Yeah, so it makes it a little bit tricky. PDT also asks, do I still wank? Yes, I still wank, depending on the circumstances. So, just because I got a girlfriend doesn't mean I've stopped wanking entirely. But there's a time and a place for it. And especially if she... Anyway, so, let's go on to the next question. Are you a Eurovision fan? Asks Anon 19 hours ago. No, not really. I've been meaning to do a Eurovision party, like attend one. Sorry, got distracted by the chat. Let's see. So yeah, I've been meaning to attend one of those Eurovision parties. People invite friends around and do the scoreboards and everything. But Eurovision, it's kind of okay. I'm happy to ignore it and give it a miss. But Lonely182 asks a more important question. He asks in the chat, we need to know those numbers, please, purely for the maths. So, this is talking about how many of my previous girls I've been with, whether it be ex-girlfriends or one-night flings or something I'd come for a few months. I won't name names, but I'll give you a number. With a bit of context, I lost my virginity when I was 19 years old, and I'm 36 years old now. With an extra bit of context, I was in a relationship for 5.5 years with one person. So it's between my 30s up until now. But the rest of that time, so throughout my 20s, in total, I believe I've had sex with 15 girls. 15 different girls. 15 girls in total. So, and to go back to the previous question, I think about 4 or 5 of them once on a blue moon when I was single, but not now. PDT asks for Mrs. Grax, has he sent you a dick pic? No, I haven't sent her a dick pic. And I don't even feel tempted to send her a dick pic, not even as a joke. Because what would happen if it fell into the wrong hands? I definitely wouldn't be allowed to be a politician then. No, Tom, not 15 at once. 15 girls over the past... Shit, how many years? 19... Oh, fuck. How old am I again? 36? 20 odd years. Not 15 at once. I wouldn't even be able to do 15 at once. Not now, not then, for different reasons. Not even if there's the greatest fantasy in the world, I wouldn't be able to do that. So I guess the question 23 hours ago, Anon asks, so how's your sex life? It's pretty good, thanks. How's yours? It would end up in a calendar, I imagine. What would end up in a calendar? Would you care to elaborate a little bit more? Lonely God 182. All right. So Mrs. Grax, PDT asks, are you reconsidering your life choices? She's shaking her head. I don't know how I know this, but I just got the feeling that she's shaking her head. Let's see. Okay, I've had this question a couple of times, actually. But I'll just wrap it up in this one question. Anon asks, 19 days ago, have you ever wanted children? Yes, I have wanted children in the past. When I was younger, I wanted the family life. The wife, the 2 kids, that kind of thing. I wanted that. And this is like when I was in my teenage years, up until my 20s, up to my early 20s. I even considered it with my previous relationship, in honesty. But then I thought about it, and then I met all these different kids and families, and I've seen horror stories. Bad relationships and bad friendships, and children who've suffered because the parents have just not worked out. And I don't think I would make a good dad, and I don't want to put any child through that. So in this current state, the answer is no, I don't want kids. I don't want to have kids at this point in time. Maybe in the future, I might change my mind. If everything was like perfect, the way I want it to be, and it's getting there. It is getting there. Then maybe one day I'll have kids. But right now, at this moment, I don't think I would make a good dad. Having said that, if I was put into a situation where I'd have to be a dad, then obviously I would step up, because it's my responsibility. I hope that answers your question, Anon. More questions after this one, please. What time is it? Yeah, I've still got 15 minutes, so I can still answering questions. Yeah, I can do another half an hour or so. I'm actually getting more questions. This is rather exciting. Like, for example, Anon asks 8 minutes ago, is it true you once burped into a girl's anus on the first date? No, it's not true. I did not burp in a girl's anus on the first date. Which one? I don't know which one of you Anon asked it, but no. I have not dressed I have not burped in the girl's anus on the first date. Also, there's a couple of more questions here, including this one recently. 3 minutes ago, ever dressed up as Texas the Psychic Horse in their bedroom? No, I haven't dressed up as Texas the Psychic Horse. I haven't dressed up as Texas the Psychic Horse and other things. The only time I've dressed up as Texas the Psychic Horse is when Andy, Michael, and I were doing the RG show in Brighton, I believe it was, where, all right, there needs a bit of a context, a bit of a backstory with Texas the Psychic Horse. When Andy and Michael and I were doing the RG podcast, I did a weekly section called Texas the Psychic Horse. He knows what your pets are thinking. Because there's a magazine called Take a Break, Fate and Fortune, which is one of those trashy ladies magazines, which is all about spiritual, supernatural garbage. Tarot card readings, ghost fucking excerpts. You know, it's got it. And there's a section for Texas the Psychic Horse, where there was a horse who was psychic, and you could talk to pets and find out what the pets were doing. And also there was a medium, an interpreter called Holly Davis. I think that was her name. So people would write in letters every month, talking about what was their problem with their pets. For example, my what was it? The best example I can come up with is, my horse. It's something along the lines of, my horse, she died a few years ago, and I want to make sure she's okay in heaven. And then Texas would reply, oh, yes. Oh, no, sorry. My horse has died, and I was hearing all these things, like the radio was going on. What's going on? And the horse is like saying, yeah, your horse is in heaven. He's having such a great time. He's trying to communicate with you through the radio and all that kind of stuff. It's lies, basically. It's all utterly lies. And so that is what Texas the Psychic Horse is. It's an actual horse that is psychic through Take a Break from Fate and Fortune. If you ever get a chance, the sad thing is, it's become less entertaining because I think they've changed writers and they've stopped it being batshit crazy and being more sensible answers. But if you actually were interested in listening to some of the podcast episodes where it featured Texas the Psychic Horse, you can still listen to the podcast. If you go to rgproductions.com, AHHGWPRODUCTIONS.com, and you can do a search for Texas the Psychic Horse, it'll come up with all the podcasts which featured Texas the Psychic Horse. Have a listen. You can actually listen to how crazy, batshit crazy it gets with those stories. Can you furnish us with an account of the Brighton trip with your perspectives, please? As memory serves, it was an eventful experience. Just trying to think what would be a good thing to talk about. Out of the stuff that I can say right now, it was pretty fun, pretty good. And this is the kind of stuff, if you really are interested, feel free to talk to Andy and Michael. You can follow them on RG Prod for Andy and Michael Bell 86 for Michael Bell. Some of the big highlights were having people coming around, watching our show, and Michael and I going to the casino in Brighton. Because the way we were based, we were near the casino, and we would go every other night to go to the casino to try and earn some money. Michael's very good at gambling. I'm not. He had this great ability to actually win some money, and I didn't. And we also made some friends that, friends, I say friends. Michael fell in love with them. It was kind of a gothy couple that we met in the casino, and we got on very well, and he kind of fell in love with them. And we never saw them ever since. But in terms of the Brighton show, that's the kind of stuff that I can really talk about at this moment in time, because that's what I can think of. And also, there's a whole bunch of questions worth asking. But if you want to find out more, talk to Andy and Michael. Let's see, where are we? Let's see. What crisps makes the best sandwich? The best sandwich is asked by a non-17th of Feb. It's a good question, actually. I would say, for me... See, I'm getting mixed up now. No, I've got it. Frazzles. Those bacon-flavored strips, Frazzles make the best crisp sandwich. There you go. Michael Bell did not sleep with a goth couple. No. Did any burping occur? I don't think there was any. No, there were no extra burping at the casino. Thank you for the questions, boys. Keep them coming. If you won the lottery, asks on 17th of February, if you won the lottery, never mind the family, friends, crack whores with hearts of gold, etc., how much would you spunk and how would you spunk it? This question comes up This question comes a lot in my mind. I often think about this because I always fantasize about winning the jackpot, which hasn't happened yet. And I always think about in terms of percentages. The correct answer is Reddit salted walkers. Emma, that is a fair answer. And to be fair, that was my first answer in my mind, going to ready salted crisps for a crisp sandwich. But then I thought, well, ready salted crisps are a little bit, we could do better. There's so much variety in flavors. We could do more. And the thing is, like, I wasn't going to Pringles territory. That's a different matter entirely. But in terms of my winnings, I always said, if I won the jackpot, then half of the jackpot would go to my family. Mum, dad, brother, all the other relations and that kind of stuff. Half of it would go to that. Then I would say I would invest half of the remaining half on my friends. Because I always have this thought that I would never keep that money forever. I would lose it in one shape or fashion. So I want to invest it in things which would make me money for the rest of my life, or at least would get me a steady income. So I would invest the half of the half, so a quarter of the jackpot, in my friends. So I would invest in people who, like, close friends, like people who I believe can actually do stuff. And, like, for example, I've got a friend who wants to open a shop. I would invest in them. I know a wrestling company. I would invest in them. I would invest in my close friends on the internet because I believe in them, and I believe that if they had the time to do it, they would. So, like Andy, Michael, PDT, Tom Mayhew, Miko, I would invest in them and say, here's a bunch of money. I'll give you the freedom to do if you like, but I want to cut, that kind of stuff. So, like, yeah, I would invest in this, and then I would probably splash a quarter. So to answer the question, I would splash a quarter of my winnings of the jackpot, spunk it up the walls, buy houses, buy all the toys, buy all the things. So that's answered that question. Why would you make it with Frazzles when you could make a bacon sandwich? Because bacon sandwiches take time. You have to take time to actually cook the bacon. Whilst a Frazzle, it's just there. You just open the packet, you pour it in, you slap it between two slabs of bread, and you're good to go. And PDT, no, you can't spend the money on drugs. Sex workers, sure, if that's your prerogative, but no drugs. Drugs are bad, unless they're medically prescribed. And it allows you to be creative. That's the other caveat. Let's see. Anon says penis. Hang on. On the 17th of Feb, Anon says penis. Mushroom. Thank you. Okay, so that's Anon asks on the 17th of Feb, what is an acceptable amount of time to still be thinking about an ex? Ah, right, okay. It really depends on what they are in terms of your ex. I mean, if they are an ex where you just don't see them anymore, then what am I trying to say? I've got to be very careful about this, but also truthful at the same time. I'm really being put on the spot here. No, actually, all right. I'm actually deeply interested in this question, and I'd like to think what everybody else is thinking as well. I put this question out to you. what is an acceptable amount of time to still be thinking about an ex? And I asked this question to you all, and I would appreciate answers in the chat. I'm deeply interested, and I'll tell you my answer. I think my answer is if they are friends, then there is nothing wrong with still being friends with your exes, because ultimately, just because you just like stop seeing them, it doesn't mean that you stop being friends. No, it's honestly because like they don't need to be anything more than friends. It's not like you're going to go back to them or anything like that. And I think, but I'm not saying you should be thinking about them all the time. I'm not saying that you obsess over them, because then you do have a problem. But if they're friends, they occasionally call, like say, how's it going? Or send you a message, and you treat them as like a friend, that's fine. Because then you have your own partner, you have your own life. You're not going back to them. They are, an extra addition to your life. They're not the most important thing in your life. They're not the main thing about your life. You moved on. And if you don't want to be their friends, fine. That's fine. If you don't want to think about your ex, that's fine. I think that a small amount of time is acceptable to be thinking about your ex. I also think it's okay to be friends with your exes. And I don't know if this is the right answer or the wrong answer, and that's why I'm interested in other people's opinions. I mean, I know some people would think that you should never see your ex ever again, and you should never even be friends with your ex. And I know some other people would be like, no, it's fine to be friends with your exes. It's fine to think about your exes. But it's all about the context of the situation. So Vision in Blue says, I think about my exes occasionally, usually with an eye roll about my life choices. And that's fine, because that's a negative. You think of it in terms of what a bad choice that was. And yeah, sure, that's a good thing to go. And actually, one of the things I wonder if this is the right thing or not. I talked about my exes, sorry. And I think there is a time and a place to talk about your exes. Like when you're having sex with your current girlfriend, that kind of stuff, that's probably a big no-no. That's a joke. That's comedy. That's fine. You know what? Don't worry about it. Over and over, Idiot says, boys in the chat, do you stay as friends with your exes? That's an interesting question. I'm still good friends with my first ex, the others less so. And I haven't. There's a couple I regret with those. So it's a mixed, right? It seems like right now in the chat, right, it seems to be a bit of a mix of whether people still stay friends with their exes or even think about their exes. Whether it be good times or bad times. I don't know if I've answered that question. Let me just think about this. I think it's okay to still think about your exes occasionally, but that's the key thing, occasionally, like maybe once in a while. And I think it's okay to still stay friends as exes. I also think you should get your priorities right, like focus what's most important. Like, for example, if you're dating someone, your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your partner should be the most important thing. I don't know if I've answered that question satisfactorily. Occasionally, I guess is the answer. I hope that helps. I'm currently friends with 2 out of the 3, but both of those were 2 with a large space of time where we didn't talk before ultimately getting back in touch. That's good. That seems like a very sensible thing. That's a good, sensible time frame, Tom Mayhew. I don't think there is a time frame for it. One day I think about them and then realize that I haven't thought about them for ages. Fair enough. So yeah, it's a very tough question, I think. Unlike this question, Anon asks, 17th of Feb, could you kill a man with your penis? Like if you really tried? No, I couldn't kill a man with my penis. It's just not strong enough. All right, let's go back in time. Let's go right to the back. Let's see if there's any questions I haven't answered. Here we go. Anon asks, would you, 27th of January, do you watch live comedy often? No, I don't. I don't get it. I don't. And there's no real reason why I don't. It's kind of a rarity. The last time I watched a whole bunch of live comedy was when I was up in Edinburgh last year. I watched a live podcast recording a Good Sex, Bad Sex, which is live comedy, which was on the 12th of February last month, in fact. I guess I would like to see more comedians. I would like to see more live comedy. I just don't get much of a chance. I mean, there's not really anyone I really would like to. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Support. There's not any people I'd like to see. I mean, the only person I'd like to see right now is Jonathan Pie. Who's been doing the rounds on YouTube, being a political comedian, like the angry reporter. But what about you guys? Are there any comedians which you recommend I go and watch with myself or with my girlfriend? That kind of stuff. Is any of them funny and entertaining? So next up, Anon asks 27th of January, Ranger Pod or the RG Podcast? Fuck. Why did someone have to ask me that? Don't make me fucking choose. Especially when PDT's in the room right now. I like them both for different reasons. And I like them both for different reasons. I liked doing the RG podcast because it was very creative and interesting. And when we got something working funny, it was brilliant. I liked Ranger Pod because I felt like I was able to express myself and I was able to work with the material of Ranger Pod and of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and I liked talking about something. I found it easier to talk about something, the subject of Power Rangers. I liked working with Andy and Michael. I still do. I liked working with PDT and Quinn. I still do. They're just different. I really do like working with them. Out of the two of them, I think that if I had to pick one, if I really had to pick one out of the two, I really don't know. I really don't know. I like them both. I like them both differently, and they both satisfy a different part of me. I think that I would. I think I would go with Ranger Pod, which is a shame because we're not doing it anymore. But I think I would go with Ranger Pod. I think that it's mainly because the material that I work with, it's much more easy for me to create something funny. Whilst with RG Podcast, you have to sort of create stuff from scratch, and they are the talent. Andy and Michael are more the talent than I am. Yeah, I think if I had to pick one, I'd go Ranger Pod. But I love them both equally, and I only picked one because I had a gun to my head. Let's be clear about that. Let's see. The other three people I dated, there were no closure. And Tommy says, the other of the three people I dated, there was no closure and never will be because of how it ended. So some to think one day I'll bump into her and have a drink or find closure. But ultimately, I don't know if I ever find the closure. But that's life. It's not worth thinking about too much. You've got to move on. You're absolutely right. Moving on is probably the most important thing one could do in one's life. Wait, that's not what I said. That's not what I said, Pete. I didn't say that. You're the brains of the outfit. You were the mastermind of Ranger Pod. That's not what I said at all. So when are we all going to meet up and do? What are we going to do? Power Rangers board game though. Which Ranger were you going to be? I would be the Green Ranger, or if I couldn't get that choice, Lonely God 182, I would say the White Ranger. Twig Papi, hello, welcome to the string. A nice bit of Bob Ross. Hang on a second. Sorry about that. I heard a funny noise. I needed to quickly investigate it. It was nothing important. Hello, Twig. I accidentally clicked the stream while scrolling down. I'm scrolling down. I'm glad you clicked me. Fucking hell. I'm glad you clicked me by accident. Feel free to stay a while. Feel free. I think I've answered that question as well. The 27th of January. What is your honest opinion of Ranger Pod and the RG podcast now that you've got some distance of them? I'll quickly recap it. Yeah, I think I've answered those questions more. But if you think I did not, let me know in the chat. And on asked the 27th of January, if you know for certain you're about to die, what thoughts flashes through your mind? Let's see. What would be flashing through my thought right now? I wouldn't be thinking about my job, my real life job, that's for sure. I would be thinking that it depends how I died. Let's assume it's something shocking. Good. Because that way, I mean, there's two sides to it. On the one hand, is be like, I don't have to worry about life anymore. I don't have to worry about all these stresses and all these self-imposed goals and problems. I wouldn't have to worry about that anymore. That's the thing about that kind of stuff. On the one hand, I'd think good. I wouldn't have to worry about that anymore. And I'd just be stopped and I don't have to worry. But on the other hand, it'd be like, I'd think about all the people I'd leave behind. And that's very sad. It's a really sad thought because they would be incredibly upset. And I've seen how people react when people that they love go. And some people just don't get over it. And I don't want that to happen to anyone. I don't want anyone to worry about me or being really upset with the fact that I'm gone. Unless I've had a full life, like when I'm 70 or 80 and I've achieved everything I want to achieve. But yeah, I can't go now. I've got too many things to do. But yeah, I learned something quite recently about a phrase which I didn't know about. It's when Tor Athena, aka Lucy Myatt, she was doing a review of this Ricky Gervais TV show. And the title of her video was review of this Ricky Gervais show as a suicide survivor. And I thought it was a case of, well, a suicide survivor is somebody who attempted suicide, but they didn't go through it. But it turns out it's a termination for everybody else who knows the suicide person. So let's say, for example, my uncle's wife, she committed suicide. I would be a suicide survivor. I think that's how it works. I didn't know that. I thought that was quite interesting and a bit shocking, really, that there was an actual term for that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't want to create that kind of sadness around people. But I guess those are the two honest thoughts that would go through my head. Like, good, or I don't want to die. So that's kind of it. I hope that answers your question. Anon asks on the 27th of January, describe in as much detail as you can your seduction technique. If you're going to be pedantic, the question is, what is your seduction technique? Well, gather round, children, because I will tell you what I typically do. Or I used to typically do, for bringing the ladies in. We'll forego the beginning kind of stuff, like talking to a girl, trying to make them laugh, trying to be charming, complimenting them, genuinely looking into their eyes, touchy-feely, all that kind of stuff. Let's just get to the nitty-gritty about in the bedroom. What's the routine? What is the Grax Bishop set menu? as my friends once called it. It was always about kissing them, kissing, and for the sake of argument, let's just use my girlfriend in this case. There's, which actually, anyway, I'm thinking too much about this, but let's say the set routine would be looking deeply in their eyes and kissing them deeply, and like full on in the mouth, tongue in their lip, tongue in their mouth, like kind of like really giving a good sensual kiss, and then easing my way down the neck, down to the chest, squeezing their bosoms, like really giving a good tease, and just making sure that every part of their body is satisfied. Removing their bra with one hand, which is actually quite simple enough to do, just to, unhook their bra, and it's all off, and that gives them a little bit of a thrill because, like, oh my god, one hand, because yeah, just like that. And then just like give her bosoms a bit of attention, licking and sucking on their nipples, that kind of stuff. And then let's assume also that they're lying in bed. Let's assume we're not in the middle of the pub with everybody watching. So we're in bed, and we'll just like slowly go down, 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 and then cunnilingus. I think that's a very good thing for about as long as it needs to be. Focusing on the clit, because that's a good way of making girls orgasm. Focusing on the clit. You could try fingering. You could try like sticking your tongue in their vagina, but that's like doesn't necessarily work. Cunnilingus is the safest thing. And then I'm sorry. And then go down as long as you need. Try to make them come, and then you just go in and have sex. And that way, they feel so good. It doesn't matter if you're actually bad in bed because you've satisfied them. And that's my set list. And I'm sorry, I got distracted by him going, I'm already suspicious about I'm already suspicious about how you have a girlfriend if you're skipping over the beginning stuff. That would almost imply that that doesn't answer the question. But in terms of all the beginning stuff, maybe I did go off a bit of a tangent. In terms of the beginning stuff, my seduction technique, I guess would be, I'm not very good at it. I do have a deck of 500 chat-up lines, but none of them are very good. And it was just talking to the girl and just trying to make them laugh and giggle, because there are a few things that are sexier in the world than a girl laughing and having a really good time. And I really like that. I would maybe use some terrible lines, ironically, just to get them to laugh. And anything else? Compliment them, genuinely compliment them. And see, that's the thing, right? I mean, I'm not necessarily very good at that, because sometimes I would try and act cool and casual, but it sometimes that happens to a fault, whereas like, is he actually interested in me? I don't know. That's what happened with my girlfriend. It was like, I was on a date with her, and I was so cool and calm. She didn't actually think I was interested in her until I said, I like you, let's go on a second date, like almost at the end of the first date. And so she was surprised by this, and so we went on the second date. And I was being all cool and calm until she came back to my place and I cooked her dinner, and one thing led to another. But it wasn't until the one thing led up to another that she thought, wait, actually he's really interested in me. Oh, isn't this nice? So yeah, I'm not very good at seduction techniques, I guess the ultimate goal of this question. Sorry, I'm just reading through the chat. I feel a bit sick. Loading 182. The sad thing, this is a lot sexier than this. Okay, this is a lift button. Vision in Blue saying, stop, you're spreading this to people who might actually take your advice. No, honestly, this is good advice. This stuff is gold. Burn those notes. Agreed. What if this girl is Janice from Friends? Is there anything sexier than her laugh? I think you got me there, PDT. I think you're right. Maybe that's a little bit more grating than I'd like it to admit. I hope that these tips and techniques help you with your love life. And I'm going to answer one more question before we call it to an end. Thank you very much for everybody who's been watching me in the stream. And I hope you stick. And I'll be doing another one of these next month. Okay. I think this. Okay. I'll answer these two questions because they're quick. The first one, and on our 17 days ago, 17th of Feb, what kind of cunt lives in Oxfordshire anyway? They're not all cunts. Some of them are quite nice. And on our 17 days ago, do you prefer to jizz on your belly and let it pool in your belly button before scraping it up with your boxers or duvet, or go for old tried and tested wank sock? Neither of them. I wank into some toilet paper and then throw it in the toilet and flush it. Got to get rid of the evidence. And with that being said, I think I'm going to call this Q&A session to an end. Thank you very much for watching the stream. Thank you very much for this Q&A. But we're not over yet, kids. We're not over just yet, because I'm going to take a quick break. And I'm going to finish Catherine once and for all. I really think that's the final boss. So I'm going to take a 15 minutes break to set everything up and relax and get another drink. And then I'll be back for Catherine. And I would love you to join me in beating Catherine once and for all. And if you don't want to join me, that's perfectly fine. I still thank each and every single one of you for joining me in this chat, which includes people like Banana Nanen, Commander Root, Jackers, Lonely God 182, Next Net Dev, Over and Over 88, Positivity Bots, PDT the Geeky, Tade, Tom Mayhew, Vision in Blue, each and every one of you, thank you so very much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for the questions, and I'll be doing another one of these next month. But for now, if you'd like to follow me, if you follow me with this follow button up above, I'd appreciate it. I'm always on the road to affiliate. You can see my videos on YouTube, youtube.com/GraxBishop, where I'll be doing videos of reviews and gaming and all that kind of stuff. You can also follow me on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or GraxBishop. And I highly recommend you follow people like Tom Mayhew, who is doing a... Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're doing a whole bunch of work in progress shows right now, right? With your Tom Mayhew stuff. If you, feel free to promote your stuff, and PDT, do promote your stream. He's a very funny guy, and he was doing like an AMA earlier on today with playing whilst playing Donkey Kong, and follow him if you haven't done so already, and he'll pop up it occasionally. And he's a good chap, and he's an affiliate, so he's clearly good quality. With that being said, thank you everybody for watching me. I'm going to set up Catherine. I'll be back in 15 minutes. I love you all, and have a good sleep. Hang on, where's the button? Here's the button. Yeah.